What is up, everyone? Welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time here. I know some of you probably are new from the comeback video that I just posted recently, and I appreciate all the love that video has been getting. I definitely worked hard on that video. And if you are new, I talk here on this channel, we talk about all things relating to becoming that upgraded version of yourself, that ideal self, that new version of yourself who's able to get what they want out of life and really just live to your full potential, really to get as close as we can to human potential. And we cover from all bases: psychology, spirituality, mindset, and everything across the board. And so with this video today, I'm doing a reading from the subreddit of Neville Goddard. And now this person here, this is a timely post here because it's called Lessons Learned from Manifesting the Stuff They Were Able to Get for Themselves in 2023. So without further ado, here is the post. 2023 has been an interesting year for me because it was the year that I started to take conscious creation seriously, and I'm blown away by the results so far. List of things I manifested in my reality. My boss randomly decided to go on a sabbatical and offered me her job, which he says is a C-level exec. Started a business with some friends in April. By October, it started making 6 figures per month in revenue. That is absolutely fantastic. Got a free iPhone 14 from one of our clients. Got to stay in a luxury villa, $1,000 plus per night in Bali for 3 days for free. It was for work, but still. Went to Bali again a month after and randomly got into a guest list in one of the most exclusive clubs in Bali to see a DJ who was flown in from Amsterdam just for the event, worth at least 1K. Too many to list them all out. But to me, the best thing that came out of it is that life feels more effortless now. It's easier to find parking lots. I get to cut the line sometimes and go first, randomly meet people who could help me with my goals, etc. What I'm still working on is relationships. I'm a greedy SOB and I only want to date hot chicks, LOL. Okay, I thought this was a chick for some reason at first, but sounds like a guy. So I've got my work cut out for me in that regard. I'm also working on getting more and more abundant so I can enjoy life a lot more. On to the lessons. The whole point of all this is to cultivate a stronger and stronger relationship with being/God/oneness. If that sounds like religion, it is, but religion has been corrupted over time to include all kinds of weird stuff. But basically, the whole point of this existence is to cultivate a deeper and deeper relationship with God and oneness. Interesting. I agree with that. Everyone has different phrasing that they like to use for this type of thing, but you could say the universe or, universal energy, the infinite intelligence. In the book, The Kabbalion, they call it the all, right? So the energy that permeates everything. We know from quantum physics, we know from fields of science that everything is energy, right? And so that's where the intersection of all of this is happening, that a lot of the times these different schools of thought, whether it's a spiritual teaching or it's a psychological like theory and philosophy, or it is simply physics at a very advanced level, are all describing the same things, right? So anyways, Neville says, and they're talking about Neville Goddard here, Neville says to buy the pearl of great price, which is our wonderful human imagination, and rely on that only. Others, like Lester Levinson, say to let go of all emotions and surrender everything to being. 2, the more I identify with being instead of my mind/body complex, ego, the easier and more effortless my life becomes. It makes sense if you think about it. The stuff I manifested could never have come about if I relied on my own devices. Being/God is infinitely more powerful than my ego will ever be, so no points for guessing which makes more sense to rely on. 3, cultivating a stronger relationship with being/God/your wonderful human imagination is done by dissolving the ego. And there are many ways to dissolve the ego. And so these are bulleted points here. So self-inquiry, abide in beingness only. If a thought arises, check to see who this thought is directed to. Then that will redirect you back to beingness. rinse and repeat. This is the simplest and most direct path, but not many people can do this. This is how Ramana Maharshi attained freedom. I'm not sure who that is. It sounds like somebody from some sort of Eastern philosophy or religion. This is also the path of monks and other such people. Conscious creation. This is way more accessible for most people, but it's the longer road. This is the reason we're all in this sub. By consciously creating things in your reality, you begin to see that it's not you who are creating, but being is creating through you. Then you pay less attention to your mind and ego. It starts to dissolve. Yes, absolutely. This is so on point. And again, I love referencing all different schools of thought, if you want to call them that, or all different ideas and things, because they all, like, for example, I'm reading a book right now called The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, who, if you're not familiar with Rick Rubin, is a extremely successful, prolific producer, has produced hits for decades for all of like the biggest artists. Anyways, in this book, he talks about this as well. And anybody that really dives into the creative act, as he calls it in that book, whether you're making music, whether you are writing, whether you are acting, whether you're engaging in any form of creativity, and life itself is a work of art. Life itself is art. When you think of it through that way, you're constantly creating. The life that you live is a creation, is a creative act. Your day-to-day, the person that you are becoming, your personality is an amalgamation of all different types of things that you've absorbed throughout the years, people, different things, ideas that you've entertained, or different things that you picked up, different preferences that you have, right? And so anyways, that is a fundamental truth that a lot of people come to, as I have many times, through making music, through doing anything creative. When you get out of your own way, that's when you're able to almost receive and create your best work. So very, very poignant. I love the way this is being written here. So anyways, yes, by being is created through you, then the less you pay attention to your mind and ego, it starts to dissolve. So number 4 here, find a way that works for me instead of rigidly following. Personally, I went from Neville to Edward Art Supply Hands, and now I mostly use the release technique by Lester Levinson. I found that, I feel like that name sounds familiar, but I'm not familiar with their work off the top of my head. So I've found that the way my mind is wired, it's very hard for me to just be in the awareness of the wish fulfilled. My mind just nags at me incessantly because of my logical nature. I think that a lot of people probably can relate to that. And especially men, we tend to be more logical. And that's probably why a lot of people, like, manifesting just doesn't really work for, or the idea of manifesting doesn't sit right with a lot of people, because that logical mind kind of refutes it, right? So anyways, when I tried the release technique, it helped me quiet my mind a lot, and also helped me see that my mind is rarely helpful, so it's easier to just ignore it these days. In any case, there's value in trying out a bunch of things and see what combination of things work for you. 5, progress doesn't have to be linear. In fact, it usually isn't. The whole linear growth thing is just another type of nonsense from the mind. Be open to things changing drastically in a short period of time. That's usually how it happens in my own experience. And I'm watching these videos right now because I'm really wanting to embrace this fresh energy that there is. I am of the understanding that, and if you take at face value what I said earlier, that everything is made up of energy, we also are all connected. And there's been tons of examples or experiments that have been done by people. When a ton of people are feeling a certain thing on the planet, it has an effect, right? And so around this time, at the beginning of the year, there's all this fresh energy. All these different people are pursuing new goals. There's all kinds of fresh energy, and people are motivated to create, to be in that creative state, right? And I really like embracing that. I don't think I'm not saying that it's something to be limited by. I think that more often than once a year, we should look back, reflect, iterate, change what we're doing, change our approach if things aren't going exactly how we want. I think ideally, reference to that book, The 12-Week Year, doing that kind of 4 times a year is probably a good amount of time to do it, kind of breaking the year up into quarters. A lot of successful companies do that as well. They have these kind of periods where they reflect and look back at how the company's progressing, what things, changes that need to be made, and all this. So quarterly reports and what have you. So I'm watching, and it's cool because this person here said they've started a business with some friend and are now making 6 figures per month in revenue. And it's wild. There's so many people doing this. Teenagers are doing this now. And it's like, there's more and more opportunity every single day. There's this girl that released this shadow work journal. I'm actually curious about it. I might buy it and I might go through it, maybe even drop a review here on YouTube, because it's just absolutely exploded on Amazon and TikTok. And apparently this girl has made over like $4 million just from putting this journal out, because now you got TikTok Shop, and it's just like, there are just so many opportunities out here with the internet, and the influx of AI and all of this technology is all just, everything's happening so fast, and there are so many opportunities out here. And just like this person said, changing drastically, being open to things changing drastically in a short period of time, that's usually how it happens in my own experience. And that's been my experience too. I usually, when I've had things change, it's like it seemingly changes very quickly. Now, the last point here in this post, momentum is everything. I got the best results when I was just constantly releasing and working on my goals and built up substantial momentum. I think the reason is that the mind produces thousands of thoughts every day and every moment, so we need to create momentum in the opposite direction to counter it. So try to make this a lifestyle instead of just a week in July that you're manifesting a new phone and nothing for the next 2 months. It gets easier and more fun. In the beginning, when you are attached to your personhood and believing everything your mind says, it can feel daunting. But over time, the less you identify and depend on your mind and surrender more and more to being, the more fun and effortless life becomes. All the best for 2024. So great post here. And like I said, I think it's very inspiring to see. I don't know how old this guy is, but he seems like a fairly young guy. And so for him to just go out here, put out this positive energy, use this releasing technique he's talked about, but at the same time, put in the work. He's clearly working on this, putting out his intentions, but he's working. He said he started this business. He's been working to build this business. And it's awesome to see all of this coming together for him in this post. So we got a few comments here. I totally agree with this. As soon as I'm completely feeling the state of the wish fulfilled, suddenly everything feels so lightly, and I don't ever think of putting much effort into manifesting anymore. That feeling, though strange at first, signals that a manifestation is happening now. Everything is done. Nothing else I need to do anymore. And that's that feeling of naturalness that I've talked about before. Somebody said, wow, I really resonate with the process not being linear. I've had complete breakthroughs and understanding and felt like I finally got it, then lost it the very next day. It can be frustrating, but it's nice to know that's just how it goes. So somebody else wrote, if a thought arises, check to see who this thought is directed to. I don't understand this. Can you please explain? And the reply, he's summarizing a meditation practice called self-inquiry, which is aimed at making you realize your true nature, i.e. you're not your thoughts, but the awareness of your thoughts. I've talked about this many times. If you're interested in knowing more, you can find good videos on YouTube from teachers like Rupert Spira and Muji. And I have a video called How to Actually Get Rid of Intrusive Thoughts where I discuss this in more detail. But that is part of that, is just realizing you are not your thoughts, entering into that more detached observer mode. And so now Rhonda Byrne's Greatest Secret is all about awareness. Lester had a major part in it as well. So now I'm not familiar with Lester Levinson, but I think that after reading this post, I'd be curious to check him out. Let me know if you guys have heard of him, if you have any experience using the release technique or any of his techniques, because like I said, I am not familiar with his techniques. The name sounds familiar, but I would love to find out more about it. Now, I'm just gonna leave off with the one last comment and reply here, because I think this may be of help as well. So thank you for writing this. A question though, if I just abide in beingness and take my attention off the mind, how do manifestations come about? Do I not have to set an intention, as in conscious creation? This is basically my main problem, as there seems to be two schools of thoughts. And this is what I talk about all the time. One says you don't have to do anything, just get out of the way, kind of like let go and let God. You don't even have to express what you want, as God already knows. The other says to feel the wish fulfilled, live in the end, but actively imagine specifics. Do both work? Meaning, can I just relax and feel at peace without engaging imagination and things unfold on their own? So now, the original poster says, I'd say the answer depends on the individual. There's no which one is better, which one is right or wrong. For me, I'm more belonging to the first school of thought. Whatever the individual feels most comfortable with, their manifestation manifest in the 4D by following that. I see. It's way easier for me to relax and feel at peace without thinking, which is why I feel what I would feel if all desires were fulfilled anyways. But sooner or later, the worry creeps in that nothing will come out of it if I don't focus my attention on what I want to experience. Correct. Once I feel, so it works for you just by resting in beingness. Once I feel they are occurring naturally, it's good time for me to let loose of it and put in less to no effort. I once found a very helpful comment describing this state. If anyone knows where this came from, let me know. And here is the quote. It says, let's say you were born with black hair, and because you know exactly that you have that hair color already on your hair, you don't need to sit down and manifest it. Okay. All right, so now we have just one last comment I'm gonna read here, because this person breaks it down into bullet points. So they say, in a nutshell, set a goal / decide what you want. Hold in your mind the goal. You can also visualize having it. When you visualize or hold the thought, be aware of any thought that arises to the contrary. It's usually some form of beating yourself up, e.g., I've tried this many times and given up. How would it be different this time? Who am I kidding? Etc., etc. Let go of these negative thoughts. Hold the desire in your mind again and see if there are other thoughts to the contrary. Rinse and repeat until you manifest your goal / desire. So the reply, how do you just let go of these negative thoughts? If you've ever watched a movie, chances are the movie will attempt to invoke certain emotions in you to bring you into their story. E.g., horror movies will elicit emotions of fear and anxiety. Once you finish the movie, notice that most of the emotions you feel while watching it also disappear. This is how letting go works. It's natural and effortless. The reason it's easy for you to let go of the fear you feel from horror movies is because you know it's entertainment. The reason it's more difficult to let go of feelings of unworthiness / being unloved, unwanted, is because you perceive those feelings as personal or directed to you as a person. The more you let go, the more you chip away at your personhood, and the more you identify with beingness instead. Hope that helps. That's a great way of phrasing it, and the phrasing that I tend to lean towards is detachment, lowering importance, entering the observer mode. And that's something that I feel like Eckhart Tolle uses that type of verbiage, as well as Vadim Zeland in both of their books, Transurfing and The Power of Now. But the way that they've said it also described it, identifying with beingness, identifying with the awareness that is experiencing your thoughts, the awareness of you, the God energy or the universal energy that lives through you. You are just a vessel for this more divine energy. The more that you let go of this identity, and that's why I'm really not a fan of, I feel like so often in our culture, everything is labels. Everything is just putting things in a box, like as a person of this age, of this background, from this country, going to this school, like all of this stuff, getting rid of all of that, it's all clouding the lens. It's like these lenses right here. It's all fogging it up with a bunch of stuff that's not allowing us to see reality with clarity. It's distorting the lens. And the more that we're able to clear off those lenses by detaching from this inner ego, this story that we've been walking around, carrying around with ourselves all the time, the more that we're able to see things clearly, the more that we're able to have that freshness, experience of freshness in every moment, rather than walking around with these dirty lenses that we're perceiving reality through. You know, they say rose-colored glasses. Well, most of us tend to walk with the opposite of rose-colored glasses because we're repeating this old story, right? And it's not helping us. And yeah, I mean, that's why I'm a fan of robotic affirming. One of my videos on this channel, my biggest video is about robotic affirming because it is allowing you to detach. It's another technique that for me, I believe can help, because you remove the emotion, you remove that emotional story, you start replacing it with the story that you want, but in a detached way, in a simply matter-of-fact way. Kind of like the way this person's describing. I simply have black hair. I don't need to be trying to work so hard or expend this energy. It's that balance in between being way too excited about something, being fearful of something. It's just calm. It's just calmness. And when you watch some of my favorite shows like Peaky Blinders or Suits or The Blacklist, the main characters in these shows, whether it's Tommy Shelby or Harvey Specter or Raymond Reddington, when compared to all of the other characters on these shows, they're able to walk through life with this calmness. There's chaos going around them, and everyone is reacting. Everyone is in a state of reactivity, and they're the ones who are seeing things clearly as they are. And they're the ones who are seeing chaos, and turning chaos, through chaos comes opportunity for them, right? Everybody else, it's chaotic, right? As soon as anything bad happens, shit hits the fan, everybody's going crazy, and they're the ones staying calm and centered. They're the ones who are able to direct the reality around them. So anyways, there's so many different ways of looking at this, as I mentioned as well. Adlerian psychology talks about this, talks about remaining detached from our emotions. The Stoic philosophy talks about this. And there's a lot of these philosophies there's a reason why they're so popular, and there's a reason because there's a lot of truth in this. If you're being guided by your emotions and guided by this story that you're telling yourself, and you're too attached to this ego story that you're carrying around, you are not going to be able to consciously create your reality. You're not going to be able to rise up to the occasion, be that effective person in reality who is then able to direct reality to your liking. You're going to be too reactive to the 3D. When you're in a state of reactivity all the time to the 3D, you're not going to be able to influence it as well. That's just how it goes. Anyways, guys, much love as always. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of this post here. Tried to give you guys as well just different examples. And with that being said, much love. Drop me a like, hit the subscribe if you've not done so already, and I will see you guys in the next video.